Aloha. I would like to welcome you and say thank you to the board members of St. Louis Boys School. My name is Philip Steele, and I'm the lead partner of the retirement plan consulting team at Cerity Partners. My career of over 40 plus years in the retirement plan consulting space has been focused on providing objective and actionable guidance to retirement plan sponsors and, of course, to employees and their families. Over the past 6 months, we've been working with Dr. Medeiros, Brittany, Jennifer to evaluate the current retirement plan design in order to seek out how we might be able to improve and enhance the plan benefit for employees and at the same time remove and lessen fiduciary liability off of the committee and off of the organization. So this is a very important analysis that we performed. This study that I'm going to go through is going to be abbreviated so that it's only going to take maybe 10 minutes or so, but we're attaching the full analysis here for your review if you'd like to walk through that at a slower pace. So I'm going to start with a little bit about who we are. So Cerity Partners is a very large national retirement and financial consulting firm. We have over 1,600 teammates on our team, employees. We operate in pretty much all over the mainland and in Hawaii, and we oversee about $133 billion of other people's money, and we do all of that in the course of being a fiduciary, which I'm going to talk about our level of fiduciary in a second. So a very experienced team, especially one that you don't maybe find down at plans of this size too often. A big difference of what we provide to our clients is we don't just do investment oversight. We do a lot of other things to help provide additional resources to our clients in the way of fiduciary coverage, fiduciary governance, understanding regulatory changes and making sure those are implemented appropriately, managing vendor relationships, that would be with record keepers and third-party administrators, and also working very closely with the employees on what's now called financial wellness. This is something we've been doing for over 40 years to help employees and their families not only make better retirement decisions, but better decisions overall in their financial life. This could be things for budget, credit, debt, children, housing, all sorts of important decisions that many people just don't feel they're well equipped to make those without guidance. The difference is our guidance is provided objectively, unbiased. We own nothing, we sell nothing. And we also protect our clients at a very, very high level, maybe highest in the industry, as we are an audited CFEX, CEFEX, certified fiduciary firm. This simply means that when we're protecting the assets of the plan and providing guidance to the committee and the organization, it's at the highest standard of fiduciary services. Our documents, our process and protocol, everything we do is audited every year to obtain the certification, which is obtained by less than 3% of the folks in our industry. So very important. One of the roles that I fill for our organization for the past 20 years has been to examine the growing amount of class action litigation in the qualified retirement space. And it's quite alarming as to what this has been resulting to many, many great organizations, both for-profit and nonprofit. So what I did here is on the left-hand side, I listed the five most current, or I'm sorry, the most active claims, the most consistent claims that are in these litigations. And in the center, what the courts came out with as best practice recommendations. Lastly, on the right-hand side is what the current plan design for the St. Louis Boys School plan resulted in comparison. And you can see each one of them is in the red. That means that each one of those five metrics can and should be improved upon. This is all relating to the fees, the methodology of billing those fees by the record keepers, the investment expenses, the type of products that are used in the investment lineup, which is, are they owned by the record keeper? The answer is yes. That creates a conflict of interest challenge. And also, do the providers get paid revenue, what's called revenue sharing, out of those investments. Not illegal, but certainly not preferable because it results in some transparency and disclosure issues. So these 5 things were things we wanted to improve and that we want to make sure are modern and only benefit the employees, thus protecting the organization, as opposed to inadvertently benefiting service providers. Our investment oversight, very important, and this is done again under that CFEX fiduciary certification, is a very institutional process where the one thing we can predict is cost. We can't predict where the financial markets go, but as a very conservative investment organization, we know how to protect assets. We know how to make sure that diversification is there, but not to such a level that it's overwhelming. You're going to see some statistics I'm going to describe in the amount of funds that are offered in the current plan, which are over 100, which just creates inefficient decision making. And this leadership team that we provide to each of our clients, these are deeply experienced, institutional level, chartered financial analysts and folks that really understand how to control investment risk and achieve investment return in qualified plans. And again, we take the liability for this, which in the current scenario, that liability is on the school and the committee. So what we did is we measured out how much we could reduce investment expense by simply using institutionally priced products instead of more retail proprietary products of TIAA and MetLife. And that expense reduction was over 80%, as you can see on this slide, and no negative impact. In fact, some positive impact to the investment returns, both in the short and long term. So very important, because this is where a lot of litigation comes from, this page right here. And as I mentioned, on the left-hand side of the page, there's over 100 different investment options, which are just a lot of repetitive, duplicative offerings, many of which provide revenue sharing to the providers, which again creates the conflict of interest. Just an outdated design that really doesn't benefit anybody except for the record keepers. So that would be one of our main objectives, is to clean up those issues, reduce the expense, and take the liability going forward for all of this. I also mentioned earlier about education from the standpoint of helping the employees and their families. Lots of the employees that we work with around the country, the spouses or partners will also join in those meetings. These are private sessions provided by our team of certified financial planners who, once again, they don't sell anything. They're totally objective, but they really can help people from all stages of their career, whether they're early career, mid-career, or close to retirement. Those topics change, but they can really give them good guidance beyond just the retirement plan on making sound financial decisions that, left to their own devices, sometimes doesn't work out quite so well. So I think that wellness approach, which we've been doing, we were one of the leaders in doing this 40 years ago in retirement plans. And I think it's so critically important to your employees, as it is to all the employees we work with around the nation. So then back to fees for a second. We did look at the current fee structure of the plan as designed by TIAA and MetLife. Their services coming in at about $60,000, an additional $25,000 for providing limited investment advice, non-fiduciary, by the way, and really no design consulting or wellness that we could find. The investment expense is simply the $12 million of current plan assets multiplied times that expense ratio that we came up with, and that equals about $54,000. So the total all-in expense as it sits today is about $139,000. The real issue isn't so much that that is such a giant number, but what is being provided for that to the benefit of the employees and to the liability mitigation for the organization. So what we did here, we did get quotes. We did not name the organization. We got quotes from two of the biggest record keepers in the nonprofit space. One that's a household name, Voya, one that is not, called Northwest Pension Services, but very, very high touch, high quality administration. And if you look at their fees, I know it's very small and hard to read, but I'll just tell you, their fees are about 60% plus less than TIA and MetLife for doing exactly the same thing. And so that's something that we have to deal with because that's a liability exposure to an organization who hasn't benchmarked and negotiated lower fees from their service providers. Our fee and all the things that are included in this short deck and in the long deck that we're going to provide to you, all of these costs, including, of course, the investment expense, are paid out of the plan assets. St. Louis Schools bears no cost implication currently or going forward. But even with the current high cost from the current record keepers, it's a savings. It's a minimal savings, about 10%. But the savings that would be created from the other two providers, which is more in the 40% range, gives us leverage to negotiate with TIAA and MetLife to bring their costs to where their competitors are. And of course, if the determination was made that we would want to change providers, then those savings would be automatic. But in any case, the real goal here was what you see here, which is how do we provide greater amounts of retirement savings to the employees? That delta of savings that is outlined in the previous slide adds up to about $5 million over a 30-year period, which simply won't be there if we leave the status quo cost-wise. But that extreme drop in investment costs, the drop in record keeping fees, these things matter and they will add up to a lot of savings for the employees. And that's what our goal is. And at the same time, take the liability for all of this off of the organization and put it onto our firm. So in summary, evaluating, educating, planning, designing, managing, monitor. This is all of what our firm does to help expand your resources of managing a world-class and modern retirement plan that really is designed only with the best interest of the employees and designed to minimize risk and liability exposure to St. Louis Boys School. So I hope you've been able to stick with me for this few minutes. And again, we're attaching the long version of the presentation for you to review if you like. This is just a look at the core team that would be involved in our relationship if we were so blessed to move forward. And we welcome any questions, comments, and I would like to say thank you for everyone's attention and time today. Mahalo.